Hello everyone, and welcome to Off the Cuff, where the headlines come to life, and we are on location at Specs Howard Broadcasting School. We are so fortunate today to have two gentlemen whose names are really a household name in our state and in our city and beyond. We have with us Mr. Specs Howard himself. Welcome to Off the Cuff. What an honor,
glad to
sir.
be here with you.
Thank you for being with us. And another iconic individual, Mr. Dick Kernen, is with us, who is the Vice President of Industry Relations here at Specs Howard. Welcome to Off the Cuff.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. It's so wonderful to have you two gentlemen with us today on Off the Cuff, and also allowing us to come to your beautiful facility here where legends have been made.
No nightmares, all legends.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And we're going to stick to that story.
All right.
Tell us, over 45 years ago, the concept of creating this institution came to you. Tell us about how that came about and what your vision was and how it was named Specs Howard. That's an interesting story within itself.
How far back do you want me to go, though? I
we
go
got
back shortly after the Civil War is when we started.
Well, we're in 2015, so we want to stick to this year.
Well, let me try to answer your questions,
sure it'll
but
all be
not in order. As far as the name Specs Howard, my real name is Jerry Liebman.
Yes.
And I worked some small radio stations in Pennsylvania. And one of the gentlemen announcers with whom I worked in Western Pennsylvania, a little town of 20,000 people, which was big, went to work in Cleveland at an NBC-owned station. And he called me one day and he said, "You want a job as a staff announcer with NBC?" Well, you know.
Of course.
And I didn't know what to say, because my hometown is 5,000 people and I'm going to a city of almost 1 million. I just,
challenging,
there was
but
no
exciting.
concept in my mind that would drink that in. So after much hedging around, I went for an audition. And NBC gives an audition for through the radio part, which was all opera. So Shostakovich and all those boys were there. You had to say their names and what they did. And then TV, I had no idea. I'd never been in a TV studio. So I walked in, and back then they had the 4 turrets, the 4 lenses. And the engineer, camera operator, would turn it. If you wanted a close-up shot, it was this one. This was another one. I didn't know what to do. He said, "Stand right there, and that gentleman's going to point to you when he does talk for 1.5 minutes." I didn't know where to look. And I was going like this to the 4 places. I had no idea what it was. And about 1.5 minutes into it, I said, "I can't do this," and I left. So the gentleman who was program director at the time walked ahead of me, and he was going like this, and he said, "Your radio audition was great. I've seen better looking guys who do what they're doing on TV. When can you start?" All in one sentence. So I did. I started. I was hired.
Well, that was a surprise to you, since
Yes.
you weren't.
But that was
acclimating.
April Fool's Day of 1954.
Okay.
So in keeping with that, I hired Dick Kernen on April Fool's Day.
It's kind of a tradition.
Yeah.
I see.
But anyway, long story here. I worked for NBC for 2 years, then Westinghouse came in and they wanted to go top 40. Well, they picked me to do 10 to 2, which was called housewife time. So that was great. But then
Well, they
said,
wanted a handsome guy on that.
"Oh,
on
sure.
that
On
time
radio,
slot.
you got to have a handsome guy." So they picked me, and everybody had sort of catchy names. There was Swingin' Sweeney, and the morning guy weighed 340 pounds, and he was Big Wilson. So they looked at me and said, "Jerry Liebman isn't cutting it." So one of the vice presidents of NBC looked and he said, "Boy, back then before plastic glasses, it was Coke bottle sized glasses." And he said, "Man, those are big glasses." Somebody said, "Why don't we call them Specs?" Well, everybody went crazy. What a great name. And I'm sitting like this. And
It stuck.
yeah, but suddenly somebody said, "Hey, wait a minute, Specs Liebman? What kind of name was that?" So one guy said, I'll fix it. He went over and got a phone book and just opened it up and it says, "My finger's on Howard." So I got my last name from the phone book.
Specs Howard. The rest was
So-
history.
The first Monday in February of 1956, Jerry Lieberman died, disappeared, went to heaven, and Specs Howard was born. And from then on, I was known as Specs Howard.
Specs Howard. Wonderful. So after that, how long ago, how long did it take you to realize that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I had a morning show, 10 to 2, which was pretty good. And the station in 90 days became #1 because they were playing this thing called rock and roll music. And nobody ever heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
But the kids got hold of it.
It was scandalous back then.
Suddenly, we were #1, 90 days, #1 station.
Elvis Presley had a lot to do with that.
Well, yes, but for NBC, there was a very short period where you could play records. We were not permitted to play Elvis Presley. It was just not, that's too...
That's sad.
Oh,
That's so
he was
sad.
obscene, they said. I remember that word, I had to look it up in the dictionary. But,
Absolutely. Yeah, at the time.
but since then, I was on the air for 22 years. And I have 4 beautiful kids and a wonderful, beautiful wife. And I wasn't spending much time with them. Because later I moved 6 to 10 in the morning. So after that, I said, maybe I'll do something else. But I wanted to stay something connected with youth.
Broadcast and
Yeah,
radio.
so the idea of the school came, and Mr. Kernan came on the scene, and together he said no, and I said a bigger no, and here we are anyway.
Your story is phenomenal, too. We were talking a little bit off camera. So April 1st, you were hired in.
Well, I
How did that
told you that
relationship come to fruition?
I had some paid time, and so I did March for free, and then on April 1st I joined the thing.
Well, when I hired him, though, I said, Dick, I don't have much money to pay you. He said, I don't want money. He said, I want to try it for 6 weeks. Remember, 6 weeks?
See if it
I
fits.
said, but I got to pay you. I can't have you work for free. He said, I don't want any money because I may decide I don't want it. And that's 43 years ago. He didn't want it.
And
He's still here.
I know, right?
Mrs. Kernan could never have invented a better job or a better employer. It has been just an absolutely the best job I could have ever dreamed of. And at one point early in the game, we have an obligation to place our graduates. And so I said, oh, by the way, I also failed at being an admissions rep. And
PR.
PR, yeah, right. So I was a complete,
And Director of Education.
He has it listed here.
Oh, that's right,
Director of Education, PR.
I have a PhD in failure.
Oh,
And I
obviously
said,
not, but...
if we want to place our graduates up against all of the universities, we better figure out that we are a little school, we have a funny name, and a crummy football team. So
Because I'm captain.
I don't know. I think we need to have me go out there and fly the flag every place, and that's how I became the Vice President of Industry Relations. Is walking into, in the beginning, radio stations, because we didn't do television when I got here.
Right.
And then after that, television stations, and then the video production industry came along in the, mid to late 80s, 90s, wherever that was. And so I had to learn all about producing commercials and doing that kind of thing. So, like I say, he keeps threatening to fire me, and I said, I gave him the same line. Okay, well, I'll just come here for nothing.
Yeah, but in addition to that, I just came back from the CBS radio stations, the WOMC and HYT, and help me, Dick, WWJ is
You
out
there?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's where I just came back. And
he doesn't tell you everything.
no.
There's a problem here.
He's taking my job.
Right?
yeah, I went out there. I went out there to do an interview. For Sunday morning.
Oh, okay.
And I tried
There's
to
always a
leave to
good
be back
reason.
here on time, and every place I went was a grad. Hi, Specs. I don't know if you remember me. I graduated in 1982. Somebody graduated in the late 70s. And tell Kernan I said hello, and he's responsible
there
for all
you
of that
go.
out there.
So you've graduated so many individuals from Specs Howard.
I would say
who are the most
about 15,000.
Is that what you figured?
15,000 since 19.
70. Well, 1970.
1970.
I started the school with 2 students, neither one of whom paid me. But they did get jobs.
But you should tell them where it was. That's why.
Right, there was a different location.
Oh, boy!
It was down Schoolcraft and Beach Daily when they were putting through the freeway.
The freeway?
And that's back when
96.
you had records and needles on the records. And the students complained, the noise out there and the vibration, they couldn't keep the needle on the record. And that cost me a lot of aggravation.
So the records were actually skipping
So I
because
said,
of the
see Dick
trucks.
Kernan. And he'll
Yeah,
take care
right. Yeah, let me see if we can find a place. It used to be a saddle shop.
Elliott's Saddle Shop,
Yeah.
never forget. Saddlery it was called.
Well, you were in a different place other than here too prior.
Oh, yeah.
You were on Southfield.
8 Mile
road?
of Northland Drive. It was
Okay.
a brand new 6-story office building. And we went in and they had 144,000 square feet. And I went in big time and I took 2,400 square feet.
Wow, big spender.
But then I couldn't afford that. And then eventually we took the whole first floor, minus the cafeteria that was there. And the neighborhood, we were right across 8 Mile Road at the time when the period of taking cars. So it was a big
Was
parking
popular,
structure
yeah.
in the back. And we had a guard, but the guard would walk around the building. And these are 14, 15-year-old kids that were taking the cars. But he went around this corner, they're
the
smart
time he
enough, they
came
came around
back,
this corner, took
they
the
were
car.
gone.
They took my car once. I went out looking for it, my car wasn't there, and my wife had just gone shopping. She had seen these plastic chairs, I don't know what you call them, clear brass plastic, but oh, she was so excited. She bought 6 of those. They were in the trunk of my car. And
Oh,
somebody
you got
stole
in trouble.
it. And 30 days later, they found the car in an alley. The tires were missing, but the 6 chairs were in the trunk.
We're still in the trunk.
Yay.
They didn't even want them.
Well, I bet your wife enjoyed them afterwards, though. She got
She
them
did.
back.
She
there
did.
you go. There's
And
a
I had
silver
a home
lining
to sleep
here.
in after that. Too, so.
So how long have you been in this facility? And
July
it's a
19.
beautiful facility.
July 1994.
It's been a while then.
Yeah.
It's been a while. And you have a studio here, and you teach
Several.
the entire programming of broadcast, radio,
We have
programming,
film,
editing, film.
editing, and all of that good stuff. And then we added digital media, graphic design, and those are the 2 courses because you have to keep up with the industry.
Absolutely, graphic design
And
is
we still,
huge.
when I started school with AM radio, I don't think it'd cut it today. So.
Well, you might want to mention the other facility,
Which one now, Dick?
the one in Farmington.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
We have a facility out at a place called Studios.
Now you know why they're so successful together. Go ahead.
Called
We're a two-man
Studios-
team here.
Studio Center in Farmington Hills, and that's where the digital media arts program is. And we're in the process of moving the graphic design program out there. So we've got 2 locations.
That's
And
wonderful.
the thing
So,
that's nice about that is that's the center for the broadcast telecast industry. They make commercials there. They do a lot of, some of the companies, I'm slipping my mind right now that are out there. Detroit Power and Light is out there. And a couple others are moving in that are in our industry. And what makes it nice is that these companies can hire our graduates because they need people with the
graphic
background
design.
that our graduates will have. So it's a big center for the entire media complex.
so what's the percentage of actual placement after graduation?
It varies from like 69% to 74%.
That's a high percentage,
Yeah, sure. Well,
especially in a
we
very
have to do
competitive
that.
field out there.
Well-
we're bound to do that by our accrediting organization and by the Department of Education. My
Can I
grand-
interrupt?
Sure, go ahead, Dick. He always does, but that's okay.
What are you going to do?
There are 9 of us in a department called Career Services. Doris is a part of that.
Right, right.
And the only reason we show up 5 days
That's
a week.
Doris is our laugh track, if you can hear her.
Keep it going, Doris, keep it going.
The only reason that we show up is to help our graduates get jobs. Everything from how to interview to resume preparation, interview techniques, things like that. So yeah, we're very, very committed to this.
Well, I know in terms of reputation, you know, you not only get the education here, but you get the follow-up, and you do have your placement department, which is doing a phenomenal job. Who are the name drop for us? Who are the people who have actually graduated from Specs Howard that we would be able to recognize?
Glenda Lewis,
Glenda Lewis.
Amy Andrews at Channel 2. And when you walk into these places, the interesting thing is how many other people, all the support staffs, are from here on the air. Ann DeLisi, not Ann DeLisi. Linda Lee. Ann Carlini at Riff. Screamin' Scott Scandal. Screamin' Scott Randall at Riff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the list
it goes on and on and on and on.
But let me, one thing, we had a young lady here by the name of D'Alessandra. Tell her story.
That's a directive. Got to tell her story.
Oh no, this is a great story. Karen graduated about 20 years ago. She was 19 years old, a rock and roll chick from Allen Park. And she graduated and had the enthusiasm of a 5-year-old.
You're padding it a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. And so she graduated, and I had heard her demo reel. And I called her and I said, I've got a job for you. She said, really? I said, yeah. I said, it's in Ypsilanti. And she said, is that really far? I said, no, it's about 25 minutes. You can make it. Is it a rock station? Well, no. Really? It's an adult contemporary? I said, nah,
Not really.
It's a country station. And she
Oh,
looked, her
well.
face fell on the floor. Really? I said, listen, and I
And
went
she
through a
wasn't a
whole
little bit
long
country, huh?
explanation. Not even a little
Little
bit,
bit.
no. And so, at any rate, through a long process, she has been hugely successful. She is the main air talent at WMIL in Milwaukee, which has been the #1 station for as long as I've been looking at it. And she will be the second woman ever inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame next
Amazing.
Wednesday.
And guess who's been
night.
going down to introduce her?
Oh, you're going down to, really?
Yes.
And he's not nervous.
Amazing.
Yeah, you're right. So, yes.
Well,
this is
that's
great.
exciting news.
It
That's
is
great.
very exciting news, yes. And she deserves it.
And
like I say,
she did not realize country was her calling.
through a process, I mean, you know, you get into this business and the music you're playing becomes secondary to what you're putting between the music.
Yes.
That's what gets you by in this business. The music is helpful, but you know, it's all about the individual. Plus, she's one of the very, very few morning air talents in the country that is a woman. You know, usually
Sure.
it's a
That's a-
guy with a really deep voice, and the women
Especially
in the
for country,
background. The women in the background are doing weather and traffic and giggling, right?
Yeah.
Well, at WMIL, Karen's the main feature, and she's got two guys that
do the
giggle
laughing
and
and
do the
giggling,
weather.
Well, good for her. And I think that is so important to be able to realize talent in someone and direct them in the right way. Not very many schools have the time or the opportunity to be able to do that for their
See,
students.
with Dick and his department up there, as he mentioned before, once a student graduates and we get them a lead on a job, we are not allowed to promise jobs because who knows when you start.
Absolutely. Sure.
But if they get a job, the first person they call when they're ready to move on, because usually it's a small market. So get a job in a small
competitive.
market. Hey, Dick, I've been here for a couple of years. I'm ready to move up. That's the second, third, and fourth place where it's a constant rollover, but it works for us because if he takes one student who's been in a market for a couple of years and is good, ready to move up the ladder, he can place another student in that one's place.
We call that a double play.
Yeah.
We love it.
Very well named.
So they're very systematic up there in how they do it, but they're very careful because if you put a dud in there, then you get a bad reputation. And you've had a few of those, but luckily,
Yeah.
the program director will understand that out of 100 people, there's bound to be a couple that might not be there.
Absolutely.
Well, we have a student that's in school now. He doesn't graduate till October. and I do a session, and I said, if anybody's got any questions, come and see me. And he said, I really like the Upper Peninsula. So after I told him to get counseling, I said, really? He said, yeah, I'm taking
Get counseling.
Yeah. I said, he told me that he's going up there in, I think, a couple of weeks to ask his girlfriend to marry him. And he said, do you have any connections up there? I said, oh yeah. So I called a woman that runs a radio station in Sheboygan, and I said, would you mind if this guy drops by? And the guy that runs the station was there. And he said, when do you graduate? And he said, October. He said, I'll tell you what, I want you to devote your time to doing news, because my news director is retiring at the end of summer.
What an
And if you
opportunity.
can pull it off, you got the job.
But that's
So, I
the
mean, that's the
network.
kind of thing that you, yeah.
It is about networking,
It's
and,
networking.
and it's using those networkings to influence the careers of,
Mhm.
of the students. And I
Yeah.
don't, and like I said, if you go to a different university or what have you for the same thing, you would not have that one-on-one personal
No.
relationship, and you don't have a Dick Kernen, you know, working, and you
Well,
don't
a
have
lot
a
of people
Doris.
say that's a
and-
plus, but
Yeah, well, depends on who you talk to.
no, we're happy to
we're
have
going
He's
for
done
that.
a fantastic job here. It really has.
And you have a history of other things that you've done as well, sort of complementing, you know, your role here. I know you understand you've had a couple of humanitarian awards, so you've been recognized for your work as well. Tell us a little bit about
I think
that.
the thing that I'm proudest of is being inducted in 2002 into the Michigan Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Yep.
That was
Phenomenal.
very cool. And the other things just,
Now, don't be
and-
modest on us. Talk.
it isn't a matter of being modest, it's just a matter of, you know, people say, oh, you must be working hard and doing I haven't worked in 43 years.
And I'll attest
You
to
have
that.
And he'll testify, but I'm quite serious. I don't take it seriously because,
You can't.
You enjoy what you do. It's
yeah,
not work.
it isn't work.
It
You're
isn't
right.
work, and obviously you enjoy what you do, and you love
Yeah.
the kids, and you love, you know, watching their careers
There's
just
a
blossom.
personal involvement you get
Yeah.
with them.
And it's about relationships and creating
Yeah,
those
because some of them
relationships.
come here, as Dick used to say, this is the last place they come to fail. I mean, they've been to other schools, they've been here and there, and they've never been to an institution of higher learning beyond high school.
Right,
So this is like Harvard to them.
correct.
And when we have graduation, we usually put several classes together. We'll go over to the Shriners and hold it there. And we can get anywhere from 700 to 900 people. But the families come with corsages and with flowers because this is a huge event. And it's not like going to Harvard or Penn or Princeton. This is big time. This is beyond the endeavor is necessary to take. It pays off in the end if you stick to it. And these kids have kids, I mean, students, graduates.
Oh, we've had children of graduates in here all the time.
I never felt so old in my life. It was last year. Gentleman stuck his head in my office, said, "Hi, Specs, do you remember me?" No, I don't. He introduced himself. He graduated here in 1972. I said, "Wonderful to see you. You bringing your son in or what?" "No, I'm bringing my grandchild."
Grandson.
Suddenly, I looked at the calendar and said, "Oh my goodness, where did the time go?"
Well, and I'll walk into a radio station or wherever, and somebody will come out and say, "Hi, Dick, how you doing?" Blah, 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 and he looks just like me, old. And as I leave, he insists on, "Hey, let me show you a picture of my grandkids."
Yeah.
Thanks.
And Dick pulls out his wallet and shows pictures. It's a grand old time.
Well, you know, that's a testament to the history and what you've been doing here.
Well,
and,
yes, it certainly is.
What do you have to do to actually enroll? I mean, you have to be a high school graduate,
Yes.
and you have to have a passion for broadcasting.
Yes.
So is the enrollment process the same thing as a university, or what would you do?
Somewhat different course level, but
Mm-hmm.
we give what is called a Wonderlic test, which is for high school graduates to take that. They must have a certain score to take that. And then there's a reading test. We used to concentrate more on the reading, but we don't really go into that. We used to have the radio course and the TV.
Right.
So that's necessary to find out if they can say 4 words in a row. and make themselves understood, because if some of them do go into radio, they have to have that.
They have to have that verbal.
And they sit and go through the process with the admissions representative and try to find out if that person can take it. We had a situation, remember his name, forget, it goes out of my head. Was a blind student. Remember him, Dick?
Yeah, he works up in Canada. He's been up in the radio business up there for about 12, 15 years.
Yeah, well, that's when he was here. And Dick and I sat down and said, how can we take his money? Because how is he ever going to get a job? People are very reluctant to hire somebody with a handicap, but obviously one who is sightless. But his father used to come in and help him put the records on the turntable at that time. He read beautifully. He had Braille. Father would sit and put it in Braille.
Right.
And he'd come on an hour or two early, and he'd translate everything into Braille, all the commercials and station breaks.
You know, I do this conference called Images and Perceptions, and there was a radio station that had given me a call and wanted to actually interview me. And the gentleman that was interviewing me was blind as well.
Yes.
And he had his little thing in front of him, and he was just doing what he had to do, and it was seamless, and it was amazing.
Do I have time to tell you another story?
100%. Yes, please. We've
This
got
is
a
going to
couple
be
more
edited
minutes.
down to 2 minutes, Dick.
I'll make it as fast as I can. One of our grads is a guy named Ron Bachman.
Yes.
Yes.
Ronnie came in here.
You know Ron?
You introduced me to the concept of Ron. I haven't met him, but I've done some research about him. Amazing.
Well, he came in here with his daughter, and he said, and I mean, Ronnie is not a guy that ever turned down an opportunity to do anything. I said, well, I just want you to know that I don't think you're going to have a problem, because you're going to be sitting right. And he said, yeah, I know. Anyway, long story short, he makes his living. He's got 2 major sponsors. Drives. Let me just tell you about him. He was a thalidomide baby, and he had shriveled legs. And he was really, really young when they did this. I think he was about 5 when they tried the prosthetics, and he said, "The heck with that." And so he learned to walk on his hands. And
right, he has no legs at all.
They cut
up to
everything,
the
his legs
thigh.
off, clear up to the hip.
Right.
And he has just released a new book called Walk This Way.
And he has a video as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so you've done your research.
I have.
Well, I
Ron
should
Bachman
shut up.
is an amazing individual.
Oh.
He inspires high schoolers and,
He
and
speaks
goes
to them
around
all
and
the time.
speaks.
His handicap to him is not a handicap.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, he's there, he rides around on a scooter, and with his tremendous upper body strength, and he just scoots himself up on that. And he has a van that he drives. He just gets in that van, and everything is, of course, geared for the hands. And he goes all over the country.
Amazing.
Dodge was one of
It
his
just
sponsors.
shows you that whatever you put your mind to, you can do
Yeah.
it regardless of any challenges.
Well, he had a job at a radio station, which will remain nameless, and the woman that ran it, he was there, and he was, on the air doing stuff, and she said, "I think we're going to have to let you go." And he said, "Why?" She said, "Well, we do a lot of remotes up here, and we're just not sure we want you out there in the public representing the station."
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
That kind
But
of
it's concept.
mentality. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But look where he's gotten to.
Oh, you got to see him in
And
action.
it makes you stronger. I think things like
But,
that makes you
but
stronger.
Ron,
makes
Ron
you
had
go
that
forward.
strength.
He did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
He did.
he's built a tremendous career for himself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you 2 gentlemen have done an amazing job. The institution, the idea of bringing this, into our area has really produced some amazing individuals. And obviously, the passion that you 2 have for this is obvious. And it's not just about learning; it's about those relationships you create and walking people through it. So I want to thank you so much for being with us on
Thank
Off the
you very
Cuff.
much.
It has been such a pleasure and
Thank you.
such an honor.
It's too
to
bad
meet
we're
you.
finished like this, because I have
Thank
an
you.
hour's worth of stuff to talk
Oh
about.
yeah, if you've ever got
Can we
like
do
a
this
couple
again?
a couple-hour documentary, we're your guys.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna take you up on that, and hopefully we can sit down and talk again.
We're the
and
Specs Hour
from it.
2-man show here.
Yeah,
Sounds like a
right.
plan, and what a 2-man show, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on Off the Cuff. We'll see you later. Specs Howard, Dick Kernen, and I got to interview them.